Despite significant efforts, the European Union has little grip on the migration flows towards Europe. When one major hole has been stopped, recently in Turkey, another new leakage starts flourishing somewhere else, at present in Libya. This is the reason that large groups of asylum seekers from the Middle East and Africa are still pouring into Europe. The tragedy is that ships of the European Border Guard Frontex are not able to control the migration flow. They merely facilitate smuggler gangs by picking up the refugees on the open sea and bringing them safely to the European mainland. Daily we are confronted with the disgraceful consequences of this embarrassing situation. A totally different European approach to the refugee problem is needed. That is, an approach that takes criminals their business away and that makes a clear difference between 1. Providing emergency aid, 2. Granting asylum, and 3. Managing legal immigration procedures. And above all, an approach that makes use of big data technology that gives us an early warning with who we are really dealing. This new approach can be simply realized by a digital network of front offices in the regions and back offices in the member states. The new Center for Global Socio-Economic Change, CFGSEC, has developed a big data approach to the huge problems our planet is facing, such as extreme poverty, shrinking middle classes, mass migration flows, and environmental deterioration. By introducing the global socio-economic landscape, the Center reveals the fundamental relationships between economic performance, social exclusion, and ecological footprint of communities such as nations and cities. This holistic picture leads to a new understanding of the limitation of GDP as a measure for prosperity and the decisive role of income inequality in the journey to a prospering world. Even more exciting, the Center's non-linear prediction paradigm may lead to a new direction in the way complex futures will be forecasted. Empirical learning is an integral part of this new paradigm. In its World Prosperity Outlook, the Center tells a fact-based story by using its big data capability. This first outlook uncovers the fascinating socio-economic transition paths of the entire world, of nation-states, and of individual cities. The total result provides a transparent picture of what has happened in the past, showing how the immense differences in the world were created. The World Prosperity Outlook also demonstrates that with the deep empirical knowledge of these fact-based pathways, the Center's forecasting capability is able to create reliable images of the future. The presented figure shows the center's global socio-economic landscape on the scale of nations. Each dot in this picture represents a nation, showing its poverty ratio on the vertical axis and its disposable income per capita on the horizontal axis. Note the strong relationship between social and economic performance. Note also the huge difference between the abject poor nations in cluster 5 in the upper left-hand corner and the very rich nations in cluster 1 in the lower right-hand corner of the landscape. But also the nations in cluster 4 are extremely poor. In this cluster, 1 billion people earn less than $3 per day. Compare this with the mean income of more than $50 per day in the richest nations of cluster 1. In the last decades, a lot of progress has been made, but the center foresees that with business as usual, the gap between the very poor and the very rich will increase. Modern internet and mobile communication capabilities have provided billions of poor people with a window that gives them an extensive view on the rich parts of our planet. In particular, these billions see in Northwest Europe an open society, where social exclusion is taboo, and where everybody gets an opportunity to participate. And if you don't participate, whatever the reason, you still get accommodation and social benefits. This is the heavenly picture that motivates them to start their journey, despite immense risks involved. Please bear in mind that many of these migrating refugees are not living below UN poverty level, unlike the very poor. The majority of the very poor refugees have little choice and stay behind to make the best of it, waiting in the refugee centers for better times. They hope to return as soon as possible to their homes. It is tragic to observe that the most poor and the most patient refugees get the least attention. On the other hand, the highly visible group of migrating refugees are relatively well fed, well equipped, and make use of the most modern communication means. With their smartphones, they continuously collect up-to-date travel information and search for assistance by well-paid smugglers. We see that migrating refugees use the regional centers as a stepping stone to travel to the promised land. Considering these facts, we make a plea to aim for a triple EU policy that makes a clear difference between 1. Emergency aid for the poorest people that stay behind, 2. Migrating refugees that have the means to arrange their own illegal journey, and 3. The official migrants that follow the legal migration procedures. Because the rather chaotic and naive EU asylum system of today is primarily focused on the second category, everybody wants to be a migrating refugee. Therefore, it is time that the EU asylum system makes a U-turn. Our solution proposes a fundamental break with the past that is more intelligent and less naive. The endless flow of dubious migrating refugees to the EU member states has created increasing unrest and decreasing asylum solidarity in Europe. This trend must be stopped. In our proposal, all front office asylum activities move from the member states to the regional refugee centers. These front offices have the task to improve the living conditions in the refugee centers, as well to improve the quality of the asylum procedure. In our proposal, restricted areas in the regional refugee centers are adopted by individual member states. In this way, quality living conditions can be created within the refugee centers with improved safety, sufficient food, good hygiene, and proper education for children. In addition, a firmer bond between the refugee center and the adoptive nation can be established. Let us call such EU shelters Camp Germany, Camp France, Camp Holland, etc. In the new system with front offices, leaving a safe shelter on one's own initiative and then barging into a member state as asylum seeker is out of the question. I repeat, out of the question. Now, requests for asylum in the EU are exclusively handled by the front offices in the EU shelters. Our proposal means that application of refugees for asylum does not happen anymore in the member states, but by the front offices in the adopted shelters. For now, think at shelters in the refugee centers of Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey, and Libya. Moreover, all applications are handled by the front offices in a digital way with an asylum app. Such an app is multilingual and replaces the paper bureaucracy. The big advantage is, with the use of big data technology, a digital profile can be built for each applicant, revealing its true identity and real behavior. The Achilles heel of any asylum system is the presence of unreliable personal files due to false statements. However, by building up a digital refugee database with individual behavioral information, predictive analytics can be used to find out whether we are dealing with cheating applicants. This can be easily done with current big data technology by making digital profiles of refugees. This approach is very similar to what many companies are now doing with their customers. They make profiles of their clients, revealing their true consuming behavior. Hence, we propose a learning asylum system. The longer the front offices function, the smarter the back offices become, and the more the EU regains control by a smarter and stricter asylum policy. It leads to an intelligent European policy that is both humane and fair, as it originally was meant to be. In summary, let us repeat step by step the most important parts of our big data-driven front office, back office solution. 1. In regional refugee centers, think again of Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey and Libya. Shelters are adopted by EU member states with a twofold purpose: high quality emergency aid and official start of the digital asylum procedure. NGOs can be asked to play a role in running the shelters. 2. Immediately on arrival in a shelter, every refugee is obliged to make use of the front office asylum app. Without a properly completed app, the asylum application does not start. And of course, traveling to a member state is absolutely pointless. The app is user-friendly and replaces the slow and primitive paper registration. The large advantage of this digital approach is not only that a strong appeal is made on the refugees' own initiative, the collected information is automatically sent on to all back offices in the EU. The back office of the member state of preference keeps communicating electronically with the applicant, keeping on asking personal information to check and double check. This yields a digital footprint that is used for the construction of a personal profile, characteristic for the big data approach. It is important to realize that the back office of a member state makes also use of knowledge models, in which the rules and treaties of the preferred member state are stored and applied. 3. Each front office app is multilingual and contains a number of probing questions about the applicant, such as identity, origin, background, profession, motivation, financial means, preferred member state, plans for the future, etc. Last but not least, the app contains key information about the preferred member state, such as the basics on its constitution and the basics on its culture. Without any hesitation, applicants will be refused if they don't want to use the app or if they resort to cunning and quill, the latter being uncovered by the smart data analysis of the back offices. In this way, a strict and fair European asylum policy can be executed, characterized by much intelligence and little naivety. Moreover, refusal of the application followed by expulsion from the EU shelter will be transparent and legal action. 4. Applicants that receive an asylum status are allowed to stay in the shelter. As the app provides also information on the next phase, such as national procedure, career opportunities, reunification of the family, etc. In the new system, All these matters are well known by the new status holder. 5. After final consent of the preferred member state, refugees are transported to this member state in a humane way, and the final phase can begin: housing and integration. In this way, we take away smugglers their business, and the national protocol can be executed without any pressure. Bear in mind that in this last phase, the digital profile of the new status holder will be maintained to track down sleeping terrorists or to trace cheating refugees that regularly return to their unsafe home country for holidays. Finally, CFGSEC expects that the EU refugee problem will not be a short-term one and may stay with us for many years. Our vision is that a European digital refugee platform with a network of connected front offices in the regions and back offices in the member states is an unavoidable step to get once and for all out of the current problems and to stimulate a united effort in the EU. This united effort must lead to a humane asylum system that keeps criminals out of Europe. With respect to the long term, violent conflicts must be stopped, and the large differences in prosperity between nations worldwide must disappear. This is the ultimate ambition of the Center for Global Socio-Economic Change.